Hi guys, I'm the Dutch Movie Guy, and today I'm reviewing Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 2, The Holocrons of Fate. So if you've seen my review for last week's episode, you know that I really like that episode. So in this episode, they're going off from what we've seen last week. Kanan gave the Sith Holocron to the Bendu to keep it safe. But the thing is, Maul captured the crew of the Ghost, and now Kanan has to get the Sith Holocron back from the Bendu, along with Ezra, to make sure that the Ghost crew doesn't die, and then they give the Sith Holocron to Maul and things go down. So I'll just begin with saying what is good about this episode. This episode was great. I really liked it. I didn't think it was going to be better than last week's episode, but it was. I loved it. It was amazing. There were some great things in this episode. This is up there with some of my favorite episodes of this entire show so far, like the season finale of Season 1, the season finale of Season 2, the Siege of Lothal. Those are great episodes. This is right up there with those. This was a great, dark episode. Because already the opening was great. You see Ezra and Kanan argue over the Sith Holocron once again. Ezra is like, I want to use that holocron to discover secrets of the Sith and to make sure that we destroyed the Sith. And Kanan is like, no Ezra, you can't do that because that holocron is dangerous. And yeah, I can really see Ezra go dark. I will put money on it that Ezra is going dark before the end of this season. I will put money against anyone on that. Also, as I predicted last week, Maul is back, and there was already a teaser in the past week, I don't know exactly when, that they showed Maul is going to be in the next episode. Then I was like, I predicted that. Yay me! But like, Maul is awesome. I already said in my review for Season 2, having Maul back right now and the way they made him in this series is amazing. It makes sense. He is a great character. Nothing at all what he was in The Phantom Menace. Like in The Phantom Menace, he didn't do a lot. He just fought. He didn't even say. He said hardly anything. But the way they are progressing his character throughout the series is amazing. I really like his character right now. I mean, when he is on the Ghost with the crew, he takes Hera for a tour of the ship, and then when he finds Kanan's chamber, he is manipulating her. It's such a tense scene. For 1 second, I was like, is he going to kill Hera? Luckily that didn't happen, because then my favorite character of the show would be dead and I would hate it. Luckily that didn't happen. Yet. It might be that she dies before the end of the show. I don't know. I would think it is good for this show if one of the main characters is killed off. But we'll see about that. And we also got the reveal of Kanan's actual name, because Kanan Jarrus is a name that he had to make up after he got away from the clone troopers with Order 66. This is actually explained in the Kanan comic. I have actually read all 12 issues of the Canon comic, and in that you see how he is first as a Padawan, then how Order 66 goes down, and then how he has to survive after Order 66, and then he actually makes up the name Kanan Jarrus, which is based on a name from someone who he meets. So I definitely recommend, if you want to know a little bit more about that, pick up the Canon comic. It's a good comic. It's actually one of my favorites so far, and believe me, there are some not very good comics, but the Canon comic is really good. I definitely recommend reading that if you want to know a little bit more about Kanan, and you have the name Caleb Doom used in that comic as well, so that's cool. So when Kanan and Ezra go to the Bendu to retrieve the Sith Holocron, the Bendu says, I hid it in the cave with the crawlers, and they have to go into that cave, and they have to work together. And once again you see that Kanan and Ezra have to work together, which, yeah, usually is like nice. You see those guys are good friends. They work well together, and it was really nice to see them work together in the cave. So once they have the Sith Holocron, they go to Maul, and then Ezra and Maul sit down to merge them together, and the Bendu already warned them for that, and still, like, shit goes down, and what they see we don't really know. The only thing that we know is what Maul says. He lives. Who is he? I think it's Obi-Wan, because it really seems logical to me that when Maul's like, he lives, it's Obi-Wan, because that's his former opponent. He lost to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan almost killed him, so I don't know what he's going to do now. If it is Obi-Wan, I wonder if Maul will hunt Obi-Wan down. If it's not Obi-Wan, I wonder who it is. I really wonder who else it could be. So I think we have to wait for another episode for more answers. But when this episode ended, and this is like kind of the only complaint I can think of for this episode, when the episode ended, I was in front of my screen like, more right now, give me more, because it was such a short episode, because these episodes are 22 minutes, and like the last episode was twice as long, like 43 minutes. So then it's a little bit more satisfying when the episode ends that you've had 43 minutes of an episode. In this case, it's just 22 minutes, and when it was done, I was like, I want to see what happens next. I desperately want to. But that is a good thing, because this episode made me want more, instead of like, oh, now I have to see the episode. No, this episode was great. I really can't think of any more complaints. So next week, the episode will be titled The Antilles Extraction. Wedge, anyone? Yeah, we saw him in the trailer. I mean, we already know Wedge Antilles is going to appear at one point. We saw that in the trailer, and it makes sense because, you know, he is the guy who is with Luke destroying the Death Star in episode 4, and he actually is the only rebel that is not from our main group that lives through the entire original trilogy. He actually also makes appearances in the 2 Aftermath novels, which I do not recommend reading because they're the worst of the novels that I've read. But the thing is, he's in it. They are going to introduce him in Rebels, so show what he comes from. I think that will be a nice episode. I wonder which members of the crew will actually find him. We'll have to see. The thing is, it will probably be a step down from this episode. This episode was one of my favorites of this entire show, as I said. So next week will probably be a little bit less. I'm prepared for that, so I'm like, okay, just show me what you got next week. I think that's really all I can say. This episode was great. I cannot wait for the rest of the season. I cannot wait to see more of Maul and Ezra involving the Holocrons and whatnot. We'll have to wait and see. And now I wonder, what did you think of this episode? Did you love it as much as I did? Did you have issues with it? Please, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. And as always, may the Force be with you. And if you want to see more of my movie and trailer reviews, click right here.